Part 1, Fundamental Facts You Should Know About Worry. Now, for this part, I would like you to read the first section, which is number 1, Live in Day-Tight Compartments. Once you have read those pages, please come back. So you can pause the video now. Okay, so in this section, we learned a few things. Here are some points. To quote here, 21 magic words. Our main business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance, but to do what lies clearly at hand. That is what Thomas Carlyle said. And how true those words ring. So the key here is to get rid of the dead yesterdays and the unborn tomorrows, to get them out of your mind. So the first question that I have here from this section, let's see here. The future is today. There is no tomorrow. How is this quote significant in your life? In what ways have you been successful applying it? In what ways could you improve your ability to live in day-tight compartments? Again, you could pause this video, answer the question. I've attached a worksheet to the bottom that you can download in PDF or doc format, whichever one is more comfortable for you. And I really encourage you to go as in-depth as possible in every question, because the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. Okay, now that you have answered the first question, let us move on. We're still on the first section, Live in Day-Tight Compartments. This is dense stuff, and the book is dense with lots of amazing stuff, and it's all good. So the best way to prepare for the future is to concentrate all of your enthusiasm on doing today's work superbly. A little paraphrased quote here. If a ship has sunk, I can't bring it up. I can use my time much better working on tomorrow's problem than by fretting about yesterday's. Besides, if I let those things get to me, I wouldn't last long. So, the second question. What things have gotten to you recently, and how can you take it easier? Please answer the question and pause the video and come back. Okay, we're still on the first section. I got a few more questions here for you. So, the book makes the point again. 1 grain of sand at a time, 1 task at a time. That's all you have to handle. Life is like an hourglass, and you shouldn't try to make more grains of sand fit in that narrow space. It's a good metaphor. It's pretty good. So, next question. How have you been trying to fit more grains of sand than you have capacity for in your life? So, Robert Louis Stevenson said, anyone can do his work, however hard, for 1 day. That goes hand in hand kind of with the hourglass. So thankfully we only have to live 1 day at a time. Specifically, we only have to live moment by moment. And moments are short. So, final question for this section. I know this is a really intense section because we just started out the book. And, we want to get you oriented. Do I have a tendency to put things off that I know I should be doing now? How can I change this? How can I put a plan in action today in order to carpe the diem, or seize the day, more effectively? Thank you for answering all these questions. And when you're ready, let's read the second section. Section 2, a magical formula for solving worry situations. And this is actually one of my favorite sections in the book. I think this is one of the most practical suggestions in the whole book, so highly recommended this one. So the formula, as you have, right after you have read section 2, check out, come back to this video. So the 3 steps we learned in this story was, number 1, analyze the situation and ask, what's the worst that can happen? Number 2, mentally accept that worst case scenario. And I find that when you mentally accept a worst case scenario, it kind of frees up a lot of, negative psychological tension that was, coursing through your mind. And finally, the last and most important step, once you've accepted the worst possible outcome, devote your time and energy to improving upon that outcome. So, the chances are the situation is going to turn out much better than the worst outcome. And if you've already accepted the worst outcome, you win. So, there is the formula. And I have one question here about, of course, applying the formula. So, try to apply this 3-step formula to a problem in your life. Address a pressing issue going on right now, the biggest problem that's been bothering you recently. Imagine the worst case scenario and see if you can accept it in your mind. Then, brainstorm possible ways to improve your situation and apply them. So this includes analyzing the situation, asking what's the worst that can happen, accepting the worst possible outcome, and then devoting your time and energy to improving upon this outcome. It's a simple formula, but it's really effective. So please take the time to answer as in-depth as possible and come back for section 3. Section 3, what worry may do to you. And in this section, Dale Carnegie basically lists a whole bunch of bad things that will happen in your life if you continue worrying. Pretty self-explanatory section. A really good quote that I found from it is, "What shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his health?" And speaking from personal experience, it won't profit a man very much. Losing your health is pretty much one of the worst things that can happen, and if you don't have health, you don't really have anything. I know you've heard that before, but sometimes I forget. Health is the most important thing. So, the question here I have, ask yourself, how might my life look in 1 year if I keep up the level of stress and worry I currently have right now? How might it look if I drastically reduced my worry? And you can be as vivid and detailed as possible and encouraging. So this concludes part 1. In the next module, we will go through part 2. Thank you very much.